which I won't spoil for you. If you want to know, you've got to read the book or listen to the audiobook, which is highly recommended from me, by the way. Hey guys, welcome to another video. So at the time that I'm releasing this video here, I probably don't have it out yet, but I will be doing a vlog about my trip that we took both to Branson for my birthday on the 28th and the 29th, and then to South Dakota with my husband from August 30th through September 1st. And so I have a lot of footage and stuff, so I'll be doing vlogs about those, and as usual, tying it back into writing. It's also a part of my process that I've been going through, vlogging my progress as I write Steel Magi, which is Republic Chronicles Book 3. So as you can probably guess, I haven't done a lot of writing lately because I have been on vacation. So I'll have some exclusive stuff included in that footage when I release it, when the book comes out. But for today, I am going to be doing a book review of the book called Star Wars Brotherhood. The cover will be on the screen here. It was a very good book, and we actually got it as an audiobook thanks to a sponsorship that happened because of Star Wars Theory. So link to his channel below. I don't know what currently he's doing because I got this like a week ago, so it may not be current anymore. But if you'd like to check out his content, I really love it. And I'm a huge Star Wars fan, so if you love Star Wars, you should check out his content. So shout out to him. It'll be a link in the description below. We listened to this on our way to South Dakota and on our way back home from South Dakota on our trip. And so I'll be reviewing that book today. Also, if you hear any noises, it is the laundry going. My dryer is very loud, and some of my shorts have this little metal stuff on it, and it bangs against the thing. It makes a noise. I don't know if you guys can hear it or not, but if you can, that's what's going on. Since I just got back from the trip yesterday, we were driving for quite a long time, both times. It's a 14-hour book, so obviously we didn't listen to it straight. We did pause and do some other things and stuff. So that's when I listened to this book, was literally on the South Dakota trip. So, first of all, I love the narrator. I really love his voice. His acting was actually really superb because he was able, I think it's just one guy, and if you know that it's not, correct me if I'm wrong, please, in the comments, because I don't want to be wrong, so don't quote me on this. But it seems like it's just one actor, and that he's able to change his voice in multiple different ways. Like, he does Padme's voice a certain way, and for a man to do a woman's voice and do it fairly justice, like with an accent, everything was good. His Obi-Wan Kenobi literally sounded like Obi-Wan from the Clone Wars sometimes, and from the Clone Wars TV show, and I was astonished. His Anakin actually did the same thing, where I could have sworn it was like Matt from the Clone Wars in the voices. He did the different alien species differently. So the Nemodians, they all had that Nemonian style accent and everything. It was so cool. So the voice actor was superb. The writing itself was really good. I'm a writer, so I'm very critical sometimes of myself and other writers, and so I felt like the author was really good. I was really impressed and stuff with the overall book. And as a Star Wars fan, though, that's where I put my critical Star Wars hat on. And so from a Star Wars fan point of view, I also loved it. I felt like it was a callback. Like, there were several different Easter eggs, both quotes that mirrored or paralleled with episode 1 and 2, or came from episode 1 and 2. And there were even some from episode 3 that were kind of paralleled loosely with it in the book. I felt like it was a natural continuation of the story. So it literally starts shortly after, a few months after episode 2, Attack of the Clones, and it literally feels like it connects episode 2 and 3, and also episode 2 into the Clone Wars TV show. So I feel like it's just a natural part of Star Wars canon. I feel like it's a natural part of the story. I feel like it enhances the story and the characters, because for Obi-Wan and Anakin particularly, it shows their bond, their brotherhood, and how they go from this critical mentor slash apprentice relationship where Obi-Wan's very critical, Anakin's very irritated with him. They have this rivalry thing that happens. And then sometime in the Clone Wars, when we jump and we see them have this brotherly banter where they're more like brothers rather than like a bitter father and son relationship, and it becomes a brotherhood and a friendship, and we never really understood how that shifted, because even in the clone, like in episode 3, they're just buddies and bantering back and forth and things, and then in the Clone Wars show it expanded upon that brotherhood where we get bantering constantly, and it's very much a friendship bond that is between them, and we never really know when that shifted in their relationship, and this book bridges that gap, and it literally shows how and why they shifted that bond, which I won't spoil for you. If you want to know, you've got to read the book or listen to the audiobook, which is highly recommended from me, by the way. So I love that it bridged the gap there and showed how they shifted their relationship. Also, it shows how Obi-Wan gets that nickname Obi-Wan the Negotiator in episode 3, and in the Clone Wars he's known for negotiating and being very good at it. This shows that and explains how that happened and came to be. Anakin, it shows him becoming from a Padawan, getting initiated as a knight, and becoming a full-fledged Jedi Knight, and how he accepts that responsibility and kind of becomes more the Anakin from the Clone Wars in episode 3, because Anakin from episode 2 was very much Padawan and had a different personality, and all of a sudden he's very mature and very, and we never really knew how that happened very quickly, because even in the Clone Wars he's already at that commander general mature standpoint, and so we don't really understand how that happened. And so this book, I feel like, bridges a lot of gaps. It brings in 2 new characters. One's name is Roog. She's a Pneumonian, and I liked her story. I wasn't as interested because obviously I'm a huge Star Wars fan, so I was really eager for Anakin and Obi-Wan, and particularly Anakin, and his perspective. So I was more excited during his chapters, and some of the other ones with Roog really slowed down for me. But that's okay. That's just my personal thing. That's not a flaw in the book or anything like that. There was another character added. I can't remember her name, Mill or something like that. It starts with an M, forgive me. But she's a little youngling, and there was something that they did with Anakin's character in particular that I thought was really cool. It makes it more tragic for what happens to him in episode 3. It was really funny and hilarious and witty. They had a banter between Anakin and Obi-Wan several times. It made me laugh and smile. The descriptions were very vivid, so as I was listening to it, I'm a more visual person, so I prefer to read. I don't like to listen. I don't comprehend as well if I'm listening to a book compared to when I'm reading it myself. But it was very descriptive, so as we were on the drive, not only did this book keep me sane, because 14 hours in a car is a long time for somebody like me who gets easily bored. I cannot sit still. I have to have something going on. I have to be doing something. My mind has to be stimulated. And so this book not only kept me sane, but it was like a movie playing in my head, and it felt like another Star Wars movie, just a natural part of the Star Wars story, the Skywalker saga, as it were, for me. And I really liked all of that. I have nothing but praise for this book. The only issue I had was that some of the noises were a little freaky, because my husband and I were driving and they would like do the sound of a starship or something, and we'd be like, wait, what's wrong with the car? But that's actually a cool part, is that the audiobook, unlike other audiobooks, this particular one, and I'm assuming most Star Wars ones, come with music, which comes mostly from the prequels. So for me, as a girl who grew up with the prequels, that was really cool for me to experience and get to listen to again and have it in the new context of other events going on. So they have the music, they have sound effects as stuff happens, and I think that's part of also what helped it feel like a movie, is because you can hear the sounds, and it really matched. Like if the starship's flying, it'll have the starship sounds and the Star Wars music playing, and then you have the reader, the narrator reading everything, and then he does the voices completely different. So like Obi-Wan sounds completely different than Anakin, and that sounds different from a droid, and that will sound different than Padme, and the voices are very distinct. So sometimes novels don't translate well to audiobooks, because you won't, there's not always a dialogue tag, for example. So somebody says something and it's just the dialogue, and there's no he said, she said. and you have to figure that out for yourself. Well, reading a book, you can keep track of that, and I guess with audiobooks you can, but it gets a little confusing sometimes in audiobook, and it doesn't translate well. Well, the thing that the narrator did that was so brilliant was the voices were so distinct that when he spoke for like Mace Windu in one scene, there was no dialogue tag, but I knew it was Mace. It was brilliant. The actions was so really good. I felt like it was a perfectly balanced between how many dialogue tags was used and how many action tags were used. So like instead of he said, she said all the time, there was a balance between that and just the character acting or doing something or moving. As I said, everything in it feels very canon. There was nothing in there that stood out as a Star Wars fan to me as being breaking canon or going against a character or event or storyline. Nothing really broke canon. It was brilliant. It was also had a very exciting storyline. It had a very interesting storyline. It had very interesting subplots and character. It felt like it was very character driven to me. But it also felt like it had that Star Wars plot to it. The boss fight, the last 5 hours, I would say, of it was really exciting, which was good because at that point, my husband and I were driving home from South Dakota, and we were on that last little stretch, and it was like nighttime, and like we had been tired of being in the car for 14 hours a day ago. And then yesterday we did all the fun stuff, or not the previous day we did all the fun stuff. And then we had been on the road since 5 a.m. We'd woken up at 5 and been on the road since 6 a.m. And we were just tired of being in the car, and that last 5 hours was the boss fight, so everything got super suspenseful and intense. It honestly really helped me and my husband both, and it kept my husband awake, which is a hard thing for him, especially driving in South Dakota where it's very flat. He gets really drowsy really easily, and it was hard for us to find something to keep him awake. Music doesn't cut it, and that audiobook was one of the things that did. And as I said, it kept me sane because I was so bored. I don't know what I would have done without this audiobook. I probably would have gone insane. So it felt very canon. The boss fight was super exciting. I really loved everything about it. I have nothing but praise for this book, and I love it, and it's definitely one of my favorites. I definitely want to get the actual book and read it myself because there were a few parts where I tended to like space out, and so I didn't really register a whole lot of what was being said. I personally, as I said, I register things a lot better. I comprehend them a lot better when I read them myself. I don't like people reading to me, so I really want to read it myself to really soak in everything a lot more. And then there were a few times where I dozed off, unable to control myself. And we would, as soon as we noticed I had been sleeping or whatever, we would pause it and switch books to something that I didn't care about, so that way I didn't mind falling asleep and sleeping during it. But so there were a few things that I missed and stuff like that. But so that's why I really want to read it myself. My favorite book in the whole world is, my favorite novel and fictional novel, I should say, in the whole world is the episode 3 novelization by Matthew Stover. And I would say that this one is pretty close to being on par with that one. This was really exciting. This one's definitely better than the episode 2 novelization, which I still really like, don't get me wrong. But I loved this one. This one's right up there with the episode 3 novelization. Overall, I would rate this book 5 stars. I would rate the audiobook 5 stars. And I absolutely love it. I would recommend that you go buy it, read it, listen to it, whatever medium you want. I would highly, highly suggest the audiobook, especially if you're going on a long drive on vacation, because it is amazing. Like I said, they have music, they have sound effects, they have a narrator who can do all kinds of different voices to where the alien species will sound different than the human characters, and the human characters will all sound different, and they have their own individual voices and tones, and the guy is so brilliant. And if it's not a single guy, then of course that makes sense, but I think it's a single narrator, and it's so impressive. So I've been babbling for a while, but I hope you guys enjoyed this review. 5 stars, 5 stars, 5 stars, 5 stars, 5 stars. This is an amazing story, and I love it so much. It was so entertaining, and I really felt like it really enhanced Anakin and Obi-Wan, their individual characters, as well as their relationship and brotherhood with each other as well. And it's so amazing. I loved the characters that were introduced, the 2 new ones, Rook and I can't remember the other girl's name, Mila or Milo or M something. And then of course it went to Asajj Ventress a little bit. It went to, I think that was it actually, but for the most part, it was Anakin and Obi-Wan. I loved it. Anakin and Padme had this one ship moment in the market scene. So not only as a writer, some of these scenes were very inspirational. The book itself was very inspirational. It got me in a writing mood, which is always a good thing coming from a book. You really want books to inspire you and kind of fill your creative juices, so to speak. And I felt like this book did that. There was this one romantic ship moment between Anakin and Padme that was absolutely beautiful. I felt like episode 2 where it was like them falling in love all over again. And it inspired me, of course, for a scene like that where I have a couple walking through a marketplace type thing. And it was brilliant. Brilliant book. Love it. 5 stars, 5 stars, 5 stars. So thank you guys for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this. If you did, please smash the like button and share it around with your friends, anybody who's a Star Wars fan. Please subscribe for more writing and reading videos every Monday.